What is going on, everybody? Phoenix Gaming here. Thank you for stopping by, and today we are going to be talking about the brand new PVE mode, the Summit, that is in the PTS right now with title update 11. And I wanted to give you my thoughts, impressions, the good, the bad, the ugly of this new mode, and I wanted to just kind of go over everything that I feel is necessary to talk about, because there is a lot of strain with this mode coming with title update 11 in the Division 2. So, without further ado, let's get started. So my overall impression of the game mode itself is it's a lot of fun at first. Overall, like at the very beginning of the mode, when you have to go through levels 1 through 30, it's going to be a complete slog fest. If you're already in the end game, you've already done the raids, you've done legendary content, it's going to be tiresome. It's going to get really boring real quick, especially going through those first few levels, because it's just there's no challenge, there's no significant replayability for those lower levels. Like in all honesty, is absolutely pointless to the way of, like, you don't even want to go through those levels just to get to heroic or to legendary. It makes absolutely no sense. The aspect of it, the feel of it is unique. I playing the first few levels of it, it was fun and enticing, but then it immediately became a slog fest, and it was more of a headache to get through, because the goal was to get to the heroic side of things and to the legendary side of things. So with that being a major con, I really feel that it is necessary and imperative that on initial launch of this PVE mode, of this game mode, we should have the ability to select the difficulty that we want. We should have the ability to select, going through 1 through 100 on legendary. We should have the ability to do 1 through 100 on heroic, because there's no reason to have to go through those levels. And I can see where the developers are going to say that, well, the whole point of this is to have the availability to do whichever tier level that you want to do. So if you've got someone that's coming into the Warlords of New York and doesn't want to farm the targeted loot on normal or hard on the open world maps of New York and DC, then they have the option of doing the Summit building. But I can see them working that. I can see them saying that, but overall it's not going to matter, because if that person or that player wants the ability to do all 100 floors on hard or normal to farm for loot, then they should be allowed to do so. They shouldn't just have a certain tier of levels going through those first few sets. I mean, you might have 10 levels of hard, but then you have to go back through those 10 levels. It just makes no sense. I would rather have the ability to change my difficulty to go through 100 floors rather than having only 10 floors and then having to wait until I'm properly geared to do the next set of levels. And this goes without saying for the heroic and the legendary. We already have endgame players in the Division 2 where you already have done the challenging content. You have already, spec'd your builds. You're already min-max gear. You're going to want that challenge, and having that availability of doing level 1 through 100 with legendary or heroic should be the viable option, rather than just making certain tiers of the building normal, hard, challenging, heroic. It shouldn't be that way. You should have the availability to do the difficulty that you want to do regardless. So that was one thing. Another thing that has been a huge factor for me regarding the Summit is that even though you are in a skyscraper, even though you start off in the lobby and you look up and you can see the building that you're about to tackle, it doesn't feel like you are in that building. I would have really enjoyed the availability to look outside a window, or to know that I am climbing this building. I am climbing, this skyscraper, the Summit, to get to the observation platform. Because in all honesty, I mean, the rooms themselves do look like they are part of a building rather than just the underground like it was in the Division 1. This, however, there's nothing there to really give you that immersive feeling, like, okay, you know, I'm in this building, I have to climb it, I have to go from, you know, floors 1 to 100, and that should be it. I really feel like even if they added a window here or there just to give you the impression that you are in a building and you are climbing it, I feel like that would do a lot, rather than feeling like you're just in a room and you're stuck in a room and it's getting repetitive all the same, to the point where everything is starting to blend together. There's no diversity. There's no way of being able to see that you are climbing this building. You are going above the other buildings around New York City. I mean, for when you're in the lobby of the Summit building, you can see that you are in New York City. You are around all these other tall buildings. So by having that availability and by having that means of feeling immersed in this mode and feeling the lifting of going up into the summit, into this building and climbing it and feeling that, like, I am here, this is what I'm doing, rather than, you know, climbing up an elevator shaft or going up an elevator just to give you the impression you are climbing the building, is not conducive to this type of mode. And if the resources aren't there, then that's good, but I really feel like it is a feature that needs to be implemented. That way it doesn't feel like it's constantly repetitive for all the players here. So that's, you know, that's one more thing on the list. Another con that I do have is the legendary aspect of things. Legendary does provide a challenge, especially if you haven't done the legendary strongholds, but there is a difference. These legendaries on the summit are well developed for a solo mode player, as well they should be, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to do solo. So now, with that being said, though, a lot of the NPCs during the legendary missions, it's really just your basic standard NPC. There's no grenadiers, there's no drone operators, there's no mini tanks, there's none of that. There's no heavies even for the legendary NPCs, the White Tusk. So I honestly think that if there was more of a diverse group with the legendary NPCs, then yeah, I can see it becoming challenging. I can see it becoming more diversive. But it honestly feels like you're playing more of a heroic plus rather than the actual legendary, because if you'd spot the difference when you're going through legendary during the summit, legendary out in the open world during the strongholds, that's scaled to 4 players, and there's more diverse NPCs out there with that. So definitely something to look into when when playing the summit with playing legendary. I really feel like, you know, if they added a little, like maybe a grenadier here or there or a drone operator, then yeah, you'll have more of a challenge. But as you can see from the gameplay footage, I mean, it's really not that hard. Like, a lot of my issues with dying everything was, you know, basic human error, and plus the legendary NPCs like to flank a lot. I mean, you saw the purple guy coming up right behind me, and he was just shooting consistently. So I mean, you can see it again from here in this gameplay. They just keep walking around. They keep just trying to flank and everything. There's really no ideal fighting. There's no good mechanics or anything like that. They barely dodge from your weapon. They don't really rush you like they do in the stronghold legendary missions. But so that was another thing. I didn't feel like I was really like playing a legendary mission. I really felt like I was doing like a heroic plus type mission, if you want to call it that. So, and then another thing regarding the summit that is just a real big pet peeve of mine is the directives. I get that directives are supposed to add, you know, a spice and a different take on like what should happen and how it should all work out, and add a more difficulty layer, especially when you're running 4 directives. But you should not be forced to run a 4 directive legendary. You shouldn't at all. Like, there's no point in running 4 directive legendary. For one thing, the directives are not fun. I mean, so if you're going to force people to run a 4 directive legendary summit for 10 levels, it's not fun. Especially like, you know, because between 91 and 94, if you die on 93, you have to go back to 91 and start it all over again. If you go from 94 to 99, you have to go back to 94 if you reach level 99. And it's just not fun. I had more fun doing 81 to 91 rather than doing 91 to 100. It made no sense to just turn on the directives, and it was stupid because I'm still, as you can see from the gameplay footage, the only way you're going to be able to complete a legendary summit with a DPS build is to just hang back and do a line down sight. You're not going to be able to face tank them. You're not going to be able to do as you would on a heroic mission. I can say that, like, if you're good and you're skilled, then yeah, you'll probably be able to run, the Intimidate Adrenaline Rush or the Intimidate Bloodsucker, and then spec maybe DPS and some armor, and you'll be able to face tank these guys. But for the most part, I always saw myself like hanging back, scoping down line of sight with a rifle, because it was more efficient and it was easier that way, especially when you're running the directives, because one of the directives that hardly ever changes is the special ammo directive, and that causes an EMP burst, which then if all your skills drop, you don't have access to your shield, you don't have access to your revive hive, anything, because as soon as they hit you, your EMP burst, it lasts for about 5 seconds, I think it is, and within that 5 seconds a lot could change. If you're out in the open and you don't have cover around, you're going to die and you're going to have to go back and do it all over again. So directives, having the ability to turn off your directives is a must. I just don't see anyone enjoying it. I don't see a lot of people getting through it and being like, this is great. Directives are no fun. Now, if you like directives, good on you. Personally, I hate directives because there's no incentive. You do the directives, you're not going to get better loot. You're not going to get anything that is going to be worthwhile, and it's not like you have to have your directives on in order to get the exotic project at the end of the summit. So really, directives need to be an optional feature, not a mandatory factor when running the summit, honestly. So with that being said, and with all the negativity with the summit, that's really where it all stems from, is that I feel that the summit needs to be worked on a little bit more. I don't feel like it should come out with Title Update 11. It should be its own update. Title Update 11, though, should happen. The gear set, Season 3, everything like that should happen, but the summit definitely needs to be worked on. Some positives about the summit is that, it is a new game mode. It is a lot of fun once you get the hang of it, and not knowing what your next objective is going to be. It is a lot of fun, and especially for a solo player like myself, I can do what I want. I can go through it as fast as I want. There's no real reason to complete it as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible. There's no reason for that. So but the cons definitely outweigh the pros. With Underground in the Division 1, I was very thought the Underground was a lot of fun. I loved how they implemented the hunters in the Underground, because they were always like, you didn't know what you were going to get during those runs. You could get 2 hunters, and then you want to get them for like 5 levels. The Underground had its own little thing going. It had the directives in it, which was nice, but again, those directives were optional, and you unlocked the directives as well. And it was with that XP experience bar that you would get. You also unlocked gear. You also unlocked vanity items. So I really think that if you're going to add the summit, you need to have you have to have an incentive. So I would definitely recommend maybe adding an experience bar. Get up to 100 levels or get up to 999 levels for the experience bar for the summit. That way people have something to grind for, and then maybe every 10 levels you get a vanity piece. Maybe you get a piece of gear from the hunter or the rogue agents, or a piece of gear from the different factions. I mean, that would be a good incentive for people that like the vanity items and want to, you know, create their characters and have something to grind for, because this is going to get old real quick, real soon. Because even though it has the features of Underground, it's not Underground. There's no unlocking certain directives. All the directives are already unlocked for you. They're already on for you. There's no special loot. There's no special gear. So it definitely really needs to be looked at again and inquired a lot more, rather than just having it released on title update 11. But overall, it's good to have a new game mode. Replayability is a loose term, because there's going to be a lot of people that run the summit once and never run it again, because they're going to have the option to do it to run for loot somewhere else. It's nice to have a new location to run, but the replayability factor, it's not going to be like Underground is. If you like something, if you like this, if you like the dungeon crawling, if you like the feel of this, then good on you. But I can see a lot of people not really enjoying it and not getting the replayability that they're asking for. Now, targeted loot, and this was something that was brought to the attention during the devs during the state of the game. You know, the targeted loot. Yeah, it just needs to change. There should be no one single targeted loot feature on the summit. You either pick what you want to grind for, or you don't pick anything at all. It's simple as that. If there is, let's say, you know, gear mods during the targeted loot session of the summit, no one is going to be running the summit for gear mods, especially when they're not dropping frequently, and especially because the only gear mods you're going to probably want to run is on legendary from 81 to 100. There really is no incentive to have a single targeted loot. Targeted loot needs to be able to select it by the player, and that way the player can grind 100 levels if they really wanted to, or grind from level 81 to 100 to get the max rolls of that targeted loot, which then, you know, brings up the point again. If you're going to have the option to targeted loot for the summit, you need to have the option to run the difficulty that you want to run through 100 levels. I would rather run a Providence or another DPS or the gear sets from 1 to 100 on legendary, rather than having to just only get 20 levels or 19 levels, however you look at it, from 81 to 100 during legendary. That's the only way I can see this working and people actually enjoying the feature of it. So, I mean, with that being said, I mean, there's not a lot more I can say about the summit. It is what it is at this point, but I really feel that it's necessary that the developers take the time to make this game mode a lot better. If that means holding back a week or two, 3 weeks at most, in order to get it to where it needs to be, then I highly recommend that the summit stays back or gets pushed back and gets built upon. You know, release season 3 the way it is, because it's narrative content, it's story driven content. Release the gear sets, because the gear sets are a lot of fun to use. Release the exotic weapons, but I really, really hope that the developers take the time with the summit and make it something unique and special, because this is the first replayable PVE game mode that we're going to have in the Division 2 for quite a long while. And I know that it can be updated throughout time, and I know that, you know, we probably have another year or two with the Division 2 before the notion of the Division 3, if that's even going to go that far. But if you're going to make something, you need to put all the work and effort into it in order to make it something special and get a positive review, and then build on top of that. So I highly recommend that the summit gets pushed further out, 3 weeks at most, in order to make it ideal for the player base. But other than that, guys, I mean, I have nothing else further regarding the summit. I did enjoy the run through from Florida from 1 to a level 100. It was a lot of fun. I'm a little upset that, you know, you weren't able to fight the hunters because of the shooting through walls glitch and them being able to 2-tap you. I was never able to glitch it, so I didn't get the chance to go to the observation. But I know the fight during level 100 is going to be pretty epic. So, I mean, with that being said, guys, I really want to hear your take on the summit. If you have PTS, let me know what your thoughts are on the summit itself. I know a lot of people don't have access to PTS because a lot of people are console players, and it's very difficult for them to even try a new mode and give their opinions and thoughts on it. So I really hope you take the time and leave your comments down below and let me know what you think of this analysis of the summit. You know, do you think it's gonna be worthwhile? Do you think the devs should take the time, push it back, and work on it more to make it something unique and fun for the player base? Or do you think they should just release it as is and update it continuously throughout minuscule updates? You know, let me know your thoughts. If you found this channel and you found this video, definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, rate the channel, share it amongst your friends. It definitely helps out the YouTube algorithm if you like it or dislike it. That way the channel gets noticed and, you know, the wheels start turning to get the video out there and view more eyes on it. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day and watching the video. If you're brand new to the channel, welcome. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more Division 2 content. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back again and watching the video. I really hope this puts things in perspective for this new game mode that will be coming out here shortly. But again, guys, I really hope you be safe, enjoy your time, and then you can follow me on Twitter. My handle is right there down below in the lower left hand corner. And again, definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video, rate it, and I can't wait to hear your comments, and I will catch you guys around in the next video. Take care.